All right, everybody. Hey, so I got my Crumar CPB1 bass pedals here. Got it all opened up because I'm having issues with it. I wanted to make a video on this because there's no information online about these. I mean, I can't find any schematics for them. There's no videos about anyone, repairing or having problems with these. So I decided I'd put it up there for anyone that, in case anyone has one, they're having issues with theirs too. Um, yeah, so it started. My issue started maybe like a month ago. The sound suddenly cut out. So what I did is I went over here. I replaced the fuse. When I went to initially repair it, the panel holder broke because it was glued shut from a previous repair. So I went ahead and got a new panel holder and a new fuse, and it was working fine for a couple days. Then I started having issues, like volume issues. So then I went ahead, I cleaned out all the pots. I cleaned out this is the volume trimmer pot, and this is the sustain trimmer pot. I took some Deoxit 5 to it, cleaned it out. There's also there's a tuner right here that I took it apart and actually cleaned out the inside because it was really scratchy. So I deoxit 5'd it first, and then I just decided I'd take the whole thing out and just clean it with some rubbing alcohol. So, and now after I did that, it worked a lot smoother. But I still had other issues. I still had issues with the volume cutting in and out, switching between the 8-foot and the 16-foot setting. This is higher sound. This is a lower sound. Um, Switching between these two, sometimes it would stick on one or the other. So I'd hit 16, it'd still be 8, or I'd hit 8, still be 16, and the volume would cut in and out. So I figured there's more problems with this than just the fuse. So I took a closer look, and of course, you got these 50-year-old capacitors. This one's already leaked out. This one busted and leaked out here. I cleaned it up a little bit, but it was a lot worse. And then, this one here too. This one's about to burst. You can see it's bowed out, ready to. Hey, kitty. You can see it's ready to sort of. It's on its way out. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace all the capacitors here. So these, of course, these radial capacitors. I'm gonna replace all 13 of them. This other axial capacitor, and the capacitor and the power supply here. Needs to go, and you can see these are old. This one is dated 5/75 May 1975, so 51 years old. This one, yeah, April 76, 50 years old. So yeah, they need to go. They've run their course here. So I'm gonna replace all those, and then from there we're gonna check the chips, make sure they're okay. Hopefully they are. There's some pretty weird chips. Some pretty obscure chips in here that if there's anything wrong with them, they'll be a little difficult to replace. And so I'll go over those chips with you in a sec here. All right, so I got the board pulled out here. I removed 4 of these axial capacitors. I still got to remove all these radial ones and this one here. I want to take a closer look at these IC chips, see what they're all about, see what they are. Over here you have 13 logic gates, 7400 logic gate series chips. You got 6 7411 chips. You got 4 7423 chips, and then 3 7512 chips. Over here is a ITT SAJ110. That's a 7-frequency divider chip. And here we got a rare one. It's a MOSTEC MK50-240N chip. It's a top octave divider chip. Really hard to find. Only find them in Crumars and Hammond organs. They are quite hard to come by. If you do come by them, I just saw one sell 3 weeks ago for $100. So if you do find them, they're quite expensive. Otherwise, there's probably clones out there, but they're in Europe or something, and the import taxes on those, on top of being, already expensive clones, all those import taxes to get them. So If there's anything wrong with this chip, I'm not looking forward to replacing it, because it's gonna be trouble to replace. So I mean, you know, knock on wood, hopefully nothing's wrong with that, but I won't know until after I replace all these capacitors and put the board back in and turn it on. Well, I see if there's, then I could test these chips and see if there's anything wrong. So hopefully not. When I did first pull this out though, these pins were really tarnished on here, so I cleaned it up with some isopropyl alcohol. They look better, but I don't know. It might not be a good sign. So we'll see. All right. So here's the MOSTEC chip. Pulled it out. You can see the bottom of these pins are still quite corroded. I haven't cleaned those off yet, but yeah, I'm gonna clean them off, and hopefully that helps. But I don't know, hopefully this chip's not a goner. We'll have to see. All right, so here's the MOSTEC. I took some IPA to it, cleaned it some more. The pins look better. They're not perfect. You still got some, still look oxidized on the inside of them there. The outside of the pins look better though. So I'm just gonna, I don't know, maybe I'll do 1 or 2 more cleanings, but that's probably about as good as it's gonna get. So then I'll just put it back in there, and then we're gonna hope for the best and see what happens. There we go. So we got all the electrolytic capacitors replaced on the main board here and the power supply. There's all the old ones. There you go. Wasn't an easy job. These traces and pads on this board is they're very fragile, flimsy. They were falling off while I was removing the old capacitors, and so I don't know if that's, you know, if that's like the water damage thing, or if that's, you know, this board was worked on before, but yeah, they weren't in good shape, so I did what I could, worked with what I had. Now before we put this board back in, I want to do the best I can to check all these other components here, all these resistors and other parts, just because you know, putting this board back in, you know, there's like, if you look at all these are all the wire hookup parts. It's like 30 different you know, parts to solder wires on, so it's a pain to remove, it's a pain to install. So we want to try and avoid that as much as possible. So looking at the board, I've actually noticed you got these film capacitors here that are missing the corners, the edges, which looks like they've fallen off. These are tropical fish capacitors made by Mullard back in the 60s and 70s. Apparently they're all doing this. This is typical for this type of capacitor. They all seem to be doing this right now. So we're gonna replace those, check everything else out. Then after that, we're gonna put this back in, and then we'll check the chips, then we'll see from there. Alright, so I thought this power supply was pretty interesting, and I wanted to show you guys. Yeah, so it looks like the way it works is you get the power from the step-down transformer, comes into here, goes into this bridge rectifier, and you can see there's the ground for the bridge rectifier, there's the 2 inputs, and then this one's the output of the bridge rectifier. Comes out 25 volts to this capacitor, and also goes 25 volts out this way. So comes up this red wire, goes into this voltage regulator, then you get comes out the blue wire here, and drops the voltage from 25 to 15. And this top one here, that goes out to the main board. This one's the ground, and yeah, that's sort of all there is to it. Interesting. Alright, so I got the tropical fish capacitors pulled out here. I replaced them with these Cornell Dubelier Knowles film capacitors here. I was sort of disappointed when I pulled them out. I was kind of disappointed when the legs fell right off. I wanted to test them, see if they still work, but no, they look to be goners, so it is what it is. So these licorice all sort candy looking colors on these here, these basically just represent the values of the capacitor. This one here is a 100 nanofarad capacitor with 10% tolerance rating and 250 volt DC. I'll put a chart up on the side. Just basically the color codes for these here Mullard tropical fish capacitors. And I also looked over these resistors here. I wanted to test them with the multimeter. Problem is they're all hooked up to other parts. You know, they're in. You know, if you try and measure these as they are now with the multimeter, you get interference from these capacitors and chips and stuff. So the only way to truly test them is you need to desolder one leg and just take a multimeter to them and test them one by one, which is something I would do, even though it's a little time consuming. However, the issue with here is the this board, the traces and pads are in really bad shape, and I don't want to damage those further. So we'll leave them alone. Um, so what I did is I just kind of looked around. I went to see if there, if any of these capacitors have any scorch marks on them, if any of them are cracked or broken, and they all seem to be okay. So what that tells me is we're pretty much done. I think before I put this board in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and give this another clean. I went over it a couple times, but this flux on here is just really stubborn. So I'm going to just do another round of cleaning on these. Get this board as in a good as looking shape as possible before I put it back in, and we test out these IC chips here. So all right, let's go ahead and do that right now. All right, guys, got the Crumar put back together. Got it completely recapped with new electrolytic and film capacitors. And I said I would test the chips. Here's the thing though, guys. I don't have an oscilloscope or one that works well. I got this thing, which is supposed to be a 3-in-1, but it does not work. So I'm just gonna use the test the voltages on the inputs of these divider chips. So go to pin 1 real quick. That should read about 15 volts. And 15.152, perfect. And then pin 7 on the SAJ110. It should read around 9 or 10 volts. And we got 9.4, 9.7. Yeah, no, that's where it should be at as far as I know, as far as these chips go. So, yeah. It's working pretty good, actually. I got it all turned on here. That was a 16-foot. There's the 8-foot. And then no sustain. And yeah, that's really all there is to it. Little side note, these switches, I think I'm gonna need to replace this one, because this is the 16, this is the 8-foot. So when I hit this one, I should get a high sound out of it, but instead just kind of cuts out the volume. Yeah, so I think that switch is bad. Yeah, there's nothing much to the synth at all. It's all you get out of it is just simple bass sound. It's not like a Moog Taurus where you get fancy synth sounds or anything like that. This is just a straight ahead bass, which works for me. This is exactly why I got it. Also, another thing to note: there's no CV or gate or MIDI outputs to this either. So all you got here is this 1/4-inch output. But yeah, very primitive, very bare bones. Someday maybe it's a good idea. Maybe we'll get a MIDI output installed to, or a MIDI jack installed to it. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah. Also, this isn't the first time I've powered this on. I actually turned this on a couple weeks ago, and when I turned it on, I got a plasma arc come out of the power supply, a little blue flash, and I was like, oof, oh, not good. So I took it apart. Interestingly enough, there was all the traces were fine. There was no burn, no scorch marks, no funny smells. The fuse was totally fine, and then also all the other parts looked fine. So, and as you know, this power supply is very basic, only 3 or 4 parts to it basically. So I kind of, I don't know, I was hoping it wasn't the voltage regulator. That'd be a really hard part to find, but usually something like that is the sign of a bridge rectifier going bad. But the interesting thing is though, when I went to go test the bridge, this one here, it tested totally fine. So yeah, that's something with bridge rectifiers and MOSFETs. Looks could be deceiving. They can test fine, but in all actuality, they're damaged or not working. So something to keep in mind when you're repairing these vintage synths here. Otherwise, yeah, everything's working good. So I'm gonna go jam out on it.